Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. Sounds official. Hey, it's a big day. We're celebrating our 13th episode.
Yeah, 13.
Hey,
Lucky number 13.
1-3, baby. You know me. Yeah. Hey, listen, this is the thing. I heard that the average length of new podcasts is 8 episodes. So we
made it.
We're breaking barriers over here. Breaking podcast barriers. When you ride in the car.
Okay,
because podcasts, apparently, the vast majority of our listeners listen in the shower.
Yeah.
But when you ride in the car, do you ride in silence or do you like music or a podcast?
It depends on the day. So I'm either, it could be anything. It could be music. This morning was podcast for sure. But kind of last week was a music week. So I just listened to a bunch of music. So
You listened to your album, didn't you?
Yeah, I listened to my album.
You got the shirt and the album came back to life.
It did.
I feel you.
Not even just that album, all of their albums. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it kind of takes you back, doesn't it? It's like a refresh.
I love it.
I'm a silence guy, depending. If I'm just coming to work, it's like 20 minutes from my house. And sometimes early in the morning, especially, I like to just hear my truck run, put the windows down, just silence of the roads. It's just because I don't get that anywhere else, you know?
Or your tires going,
I don't know, the diesel, man. I like that.
There you go.
I don't know. Just sometimes it's soothing. I ride in silence a lot to and from work. Now, if I'm going like, a distance, usually I'll throw something on. This weekend I had to go to DC after our baseball games on Saturday, and on the way up I listened to TD Jakes, I listen to stuff like that. It just depends. Listen to a lot of music on the way down, up and back. It just depends. Actually, on the way up, I was on the phone for like 2.5 hours with different people, just phone calls, people I wanted to connect with.
Yeah.
When I'm in the car, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Number one, I talk on the phone almost all the time. Before anything, I'm almost always on the phone talking to people. That's one thing I like about having a drive that I didn't used to have before is I talked to a lot more people than I used to, because when we lived in the ocean front, our office was a mile away, and you just take that. I used to sit at my desk for 30 minutes at the end of my day because I had 4 kids that were little, and I would like, okay, get it together, get it right. Like I'd wind down my day with like 30 minutes of just kind of solitude because I knew I had a mile drive, and then you were home, and I wanted to be there for my kids, and for my wife, and I wanted to be mentally.
Yeah.
So now I do a lot of phone calls.
Oh yeah.
So listen, I read this thing today. Bo Jackson, the great dual player of all time, he's had hiccups for a year. Since July.
Oh,
a year-long hiccup, man.
That's miserable.
He's getting ready to go get a surgery or getting some procedure done. He's had them since July 2022. Can you imagine hiccups for a year? That's torture.
I've watched, like, I guess it wasn't a full documentary, but I've seen like things on documentary of people that live with hiccups.
I don't know how they do it.
I can't imagine that.
It's like a constant breathing trouble.
Yeah.
How do you sleep?
Well, there's hiccups that are violent and they hurt, and like I can't.
That's true. That's true. Like the hot sauce hiccups, those hurt. Hot sauce hiccups, those will hit your orifices.
I gotta imagine like your esophagus muscles get.
Dude,
that's a workout.
You ain't lying. Well, Bo Jackson, he's a great NFL. Speaking of NFL, he's a great NFL of all time Hall of Fame running back. Right?
Yeah.
Anybody who played Tecmo Bowl knows that.
Yeah.
But NFL schedule release is coming out tomorrow, which is today for a lot of you listening to the podcast on a Thursday morning. Yeah. But they have a couple of adjustments. And being a Washington Commanders season ticket holder, I'm paying more close attention this year than ever because I'm already thinking about which games I want to go to. Mm-hmm. And the great thing is there's Sunday afternoon games. There is some of them, but there's a lot of games on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays and just random stuff once the college season ends, those kind of things. But there's a Black Friday game this year. Okay. It's a Friday afternoon game, which is the new. I'm like, well, why not? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And why not just give another team a primetime opportunity? The new thing they're doing is teams can play on Thursday night football twice, which I know teams hate that because they're thinking there's no recovery from Sunday.
Yeah, wow.
And then you got to play Thursday. If you have to do that twice a year, that could be a detrimental. Not all teams, this is a great rule, not all teams have to have a primetime game, which I'm thanking God for that because nobody wanted to watch the Colts and the Browns last year, or whatever game it was. Nobody wants to watch that. The games don't matter. The highlight was that Jeff Saturday was coming back to coach a team that couldn't win. It's like nobody wants to watch that. No offense, guys, but nobody wants to see that. Like you want to see the games that matter on primetime. But one of the things is there are teams that are going to be hosting international games. And now this is why I say being a season ticket holder, because as a season ticket holder, you pay for a certain amount of games per year.
Yeah.
But if they're hosting an international game, that means Washington could be playing in London, or they could be playing in Germany, and that's one of their home games. So they actually lose a home game at FedEx, which means season ticket holders, you might get a shot at purchasing those tickets, but that's one less game you get at home. So, but with the 17 game schedule, I don't know if they offset that by giving you 9 home games that year instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like instead of
gotcha.
8. I don't know how they work it, but now that I'm an investor in an organization, I need answers.
You're going to Germany.
Going to Germany. Yeah, exactly. Looks like I'm flying to Germany. So I took the bait and I bought a ticket.
Yeah.
No. But I'll tell you what's come alive for me this year, switching sports a little bit. We've talked a good bit about college basketball last month, or 2 months ago, really, March, and how I didn't watch the NBA a ton. I watched it a lot with Kobe.
Yeah.
This year, this playoff season, I've watched the NBA a ton.
Really?
Something hit me. I started watching it. I heard the music going. They're dribbling down the court. I'm like, why don't I watch this more? This is great. And the NBA athletes, I like playing all sports, but the hardest things to do, I know they say, is hitting a golf ball and hitting a baseball. I don't deny that. But I think being great at basketball, shooting the way these guys can shoot, is amazing to me.
Yeah.
I'm amazed when Steph Curry doesn't feel like walking past half court and he just hits a 3.
Yeah.
It's what you feel like. He's just amazing. But there was a question asked that I thought was unbelievably just out of left field about the Lakers. They're leading the Warriors in their series. Nobody thought the Lakers would be this deep into a series. They're leading the Warriors in the series 3-1. And they asked them, should they rest their starters in game 5? And I'm like, why would you rest your starters when you're up on a team?
Yeah.
That's what they're getting paid for. And I understand they're like, Anthony Davis is old and LeBron's old. They got to ice they're injured. They got to ice their knees and give them a day off. So basically the argument was, rest the starters for the Lakers. They're going to Golden State, to San Francisco. So let the starters rest. Don't play them. Give them a night of rest, and knowing that the Golden State's not going to lose that game. They're going to come out and they're going to win. And so it's going to be 3-2, and you get to go back to LA and fight for your championship run, whatever. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because if you rest your starters, you're giving up a game. And it took you worked so hard to get those 3 games. Don't give up a game. But then when you look at the other side, you're like, well, you rest your starters and you can come back to LA and win one. But what happens if you do win in Golden State? And what happens if you're done a series early? Now you get a week or however many days rest before you have to play your next series.
Yeah.
I'm one of these guys. I'm like, step on it harder, give it more gas, finish strong.
Yeah.
Are you a pace guy? Are you like, yeah, rest your starters, like take one for the team and then come back and win it in LA? Or are you like, no, finish it? And what happens if you try to finish it? Your starters are still tired. You get back to LA. This is just a new way to coach the game that I don't want to say I don't agree with, because I think coaching has to morph like anything else. I mean, you've seen it in football with the West Coast offense, and then you just seen everything. All sports morph, right? Baseball, we got pitch clock timers, and you got guys who can't get out of the batter's box more than once they get a strike call during an at bat. Things are changing. The way you manage games, the way you coach games are changing. As a coach, I can speak to this directly. You have to change the way you coach, right?
Yeah.
But what's your opinion on this? Is this the way the game is changing, or are you like, dude, who cares they rest them, or just give them the game?
Yeah. You want to know my real opinion?
Yes, that's what everybody wants to hear. Not that you don't care.
Get out your tinfoil hat. Here's my opinion. I think you got to make it to game 7 no matter what you do to sell more tickets.
There you have it, folks. And there you have it. That is what the people want right there.
That's my opinion.
You know what? There's a lot of owners that think like you.
Yeah.
That's the difference between an owner and a player, right? An owner is saying, let's make more money. Players are like, bro, my knees hurt. You know?
Let's let the starters rest.
Yeah.
No, you just want more games.
You know what? I would love to see them tell LeBron he's going to have to rest in game 5.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
I would like to see that. So before we go any further, can we just really quick, let's go to LeBron and let's see if I'm going to call one of my buddies.
Oh man, this feels like...
let's see what he thinks. He's a college basketball coach.
Okay.
He coaches. Let's see. I'm going to give him a FaceTime. He may not answer. It's the middle of the day. He's out in the middle of the country, so who knows? But I want to know, like, why would you rest your starters in a game 5? You know what I'm saying? This isn't the way that it works.
No.
There he is.
Uh-oh.
What's up, big dog? Hey, you're on the podcast. Say what's up. Say what's up, man. You there? I can hear you, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear him on there, Corey?
We got him.
Hey, tell everybody who you are, man. This is my man. This is Bert Cable. This is the winningest coach in the history of college basketball. Tell him, Bert.
I wish that were true.
Hey, listen, I got one question for you, man. So this is the question we're asking. I heard this crazy thing about resting. LA should rest their starters in Game 5. And I thought that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Go to Golden State and step on the gas. As a coach, is there any kind of wisdom you can bring to this situation? I don't think LA should rest their starters. I think you go in, tell LeBron he's not going to play and see how that goes over. You know what I'm saying? And then go back to LA and win at Game 6. Here, tell the people what they want to hear, Bert. Tell them.
Well, first of all, I wish I was coaching in the NBA. Since I'm not, there is no way on God's green earth I would rest my starters for that game.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
You can't mess around during the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's true. Hey, so Bert, what were y'all ranked this year? Bert is the head coach at Evangel University. What were y'all ranked this year? What's your highest ranking?
I think we were at 13 at some point.
Yeah, so this is what I'm telling you. And Bert coached at Florida State.
Out of 15 teams.
13 out of 15. Hey, somebody's got to be 15. It wasn't you. Hey, Bert's been around the game for a long time. He's been at Florida State. He's been at different places, and this is a dude. He's one of my closest friends. He wouldn't say that about me, but I'll say that about him. He picked up. That's all y'all need to know, man.
He did.
Hey, but
wait, who is this?
This is Jackson.
Yeah.
Jackson's Bert's brother that he's been trying to get me to take his job. Jackson, if you're watching this, man, I told him I wouldn't come take your job, man. But hey, man, well, you heard it first, guys. Bert, the world's greatest college basketball coach right here, Bert Capel, Evangel University. He told y'all what's up.
I use my agents when I need to.
We'll talk, man. I'll holler at you. Love you, bro. Later. All right. There you have it. I mean, you got it from the best right there.
There you go.
Hey, let's go to You Asked For It.
Let's go to it. I'm never prepared for this.
Here, be prepared. Now.
I know. Yeah, it's happening now.
There you go.
Don't blame me. You asked for it.
All right, so cereal comments. This isn't really You Asked For It, but let's give a little bit of a debrief. Last week we talked about the best cereals, 1 to 3.
Yep.
Patricia Young wrote in and said, hey, Honey Nut Cheerios, Fruity Pebbles, and Honey Nut Chex. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't know. Fruity Pebbles is hard, but yeah.
And then another one, some of these are YouTube handles. It's, I want to say it right, Tykese Knight. It's TYK or QECE. I don't know if I said that right, but that's the handle. Said honeycomb. I like honeycomb.
Honeycombs are good.
Honeycombs are legit. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. And another one, YHB 2003 said Apple Jacks. I don't hate Apple Jacks.
Man, it's been a minute since I've had Apple Jacks.
Takes you back though.
It does.
And then BV Crimson said O's. And they said, honey O's? Question mark. Try them. BV Crimson, it'll change your life. All right? It'll change your life. But let's do this. Hey, real quick, top 3 90s shows.
Top 3 90s
Hey,
shows?
I want y'all to tell us. Go to info at Brandon Shank or go to our Instagram or Facebook. Let us know. Drop in the comments. What's your favorite? Go to YouTube. So what's your favorite? 3 90s shows, 1 to 3. 3 to 1. 3 to 1. You get 3.
X-Files.
X-Files?
Yeah. That's probably my favorite show of all time. So
wow.
Yeah. Let's talk about aliens some more.
Number 2. X-Files number 1. Number 2.
I don't even know yet. I'm still looking. Okay, so this might be out of.
I know I threw this on you.
Yeah,
that's why it's great because it's
Is
coming
this
out.
like you said specifically
90s,
just TV shows?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
TV,
Maybe cartoons.
Yeah, all of it, dude. I'm all in.
I grew up watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z. It's just straight.
I've known you for like what 11 years.
Yeah,
and I feel like every time we do one of these episodes, I get to know you more.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all making so much sense.
It's
X-Files, Dragon Ball Z. What's number 1? Is number 1 X-Files?
Number 1 was
and
X-Files.
So 2's Dragon Ball Z.
2's Dragon Ball
What
Z.
What is 3?
Golly, A Mystery Science Theater 3000. Come on, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? You know what the premise is, right?
Never.
Okay, so here's the premise. Everyone, go check it out. Mystery Science Theater 3000 it's a guy. He's stranded on this spaceship, basically, and all they do is send him really old, cheesy, corny movies, and he has to watch them with his like robot friends, and they just commentate and make fun of the movie the entire time.
That's like the best of every world you like. Yeah. Little AI, little robot, little friends, little technology, little movies. I can see where that makes sense.
And you just basically watch these old cheesy movies, like these not even B movies, like
Just cheesy.
E and F movie level things that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny. You laugh.
All right. Well, I would say this. All right. So these are mine. TV shows. Number 3, Full House.
Yeah. See,
All day.
I know where this is. Yeah.
Number 3, Full House. Now, I have to say a close third was Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
And you
that's
might
a
be
good
wondering,
one.
what's number 2? I'm glad you asked. Number 2, Fresh Prince.
That's a good one.
All day.
That's a good
Classic. Number 1, do you want to take a stab at this?
one. Number 1.
90s show.
Oh,
Number
gosh. Just go for it.
Number 1, all day, every day, Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the
Don't
Bell.
even come at
Oh
me.
no, I forgot one.
You can have
Okay,
an honorable
can I
mention.
replace Dragon Ball Z? Because the truth is, this absolutely does.
So is Dragon Ball
replace.
Z an honorable mention?
Dragon Ball Z now moves to honorable mention.
Okay, it's fair.
Number 2 becomes the A-Team.
Oh, the A-Team was legit. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I did watch some of it.
I love the A-Team.
Yeah. Okay.
So sorry.
All right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Change
There you
my
go.
answer.
Well, we do have, and there is one question I want to bring up, and it was by our very own buddy. I had to bring this to it because I know he's going to want to know the answer to this.
Yeah.
He said if there's a 3-part showdown, who wins on staff?
I've already heard it. Yep.
Did you already answer this?
He already asked me. Yeah.
Did he answer it?
Yeah, of course he answered.
And he answered himself.
Probably for every category.
Okay. Golf, 1v1 basketball, and 3 wiffle ball home run derby.
Well, I can say this. He unequivocally said he wins golf all the time.
It's not.
That's what he said.
That's what he says.
Exact words.
Buddy's record in golf in his mind is 99-3. The reality, it's probably more like 27-20. He's beat me more than I beat him. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But to my credit, he has thousands of dollars invested in his clubs. and they're all generated by his weight, what he ate for breakfast, and his grip. Me, no.
I sent him a TikTok today of like, it's like these 3 people out on the golf course, and the one of them's like, man, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, I don't even like golf. Like, thanks for the invite though. I probably should have just stayed home. And then he hits like this perfect shot, and he turns around and looks at him. He's like, I will devote the rest of my life to this.
Dude, I'm just saying, we have a great time. I do love playing golf with Buddy though, because we're good competition for each other. We're usually within one thing we both will admit to. We're usually within 2 or 3 strokes. Like, we're usually down to the wire every time we play. That's why it's fun. I love playing with him for that reason. And you're never going to find somebody better to find golf balls. Hands down,
that's true.
The best.
Very
now,
true.
you may be 6 hours playing around, but he's all right. The second was 1v1 basketball.
Yeah.
Now, the obvious answer is the guy who's 6'7", right?
Yeah.
If we had a knock him down, drag him out shooter on this staff that could shoot the lights out, I would pick them only because they could probably get you on the perimeter and try to move around enough to get a shot in.
Yeah.
I would say 1v1. I mean, BP's a good basketball player.
He is good.
You wouldn't think it because he's not the tallest guy.
Yeah, he's
right.
good.
We're all kind of 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" range.
Got a lot of experience,
but he knows what he's doing on the basketball court. I would give that one to you just by sheer dominance of size and you know enough around the basketball court to where you're not going to get worked by small guys.
Yeah.
Now, nobody's going to take the lane. If somebody's
yeah.
going to beat you, we're going to have to shoot outside of the foul line or deeper.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's
because you ain't going out to guard me at 3-point all the time. You're like, no, I don't care. If you make it, you get it. I'm not coming out there.
I might.
You're not coming out consistently. You can't sit there and tell me if I'm shooting 10 3-pointers, you're running out every time to block
Yeah.
me.
Here's the thing I've learned from going in Friday mornings and playing basketball with him. Everyone shoots threes. Yeah.
It's true. Nobody wants to run that far.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And then the last one's wiffle ball home run derby.
Here's the thing about that. Wiffle ball's tough. Wiffle ball is like because Buddy made a good point. I was saying,
sport.
like, I don't know, man. I feel like, but it is true. Sometimes when you hit a wiffle ball too hard, it doesn't do anything. Yeah.
It's not like real baseball.
No, it's
not. It's like a one-handed anomaly.
Yeah.
It's
weird.
So who would win? A 3-part showdown? I mean, we might just have to film one.
Yeah. The wiffle ball home run thing?
All of it.
Or all 3? Hey.
Might just have to film one.
All right.
I think between the golf, from what I've heard in the room,
I'm bowing out of that.
I think between the golf, if I'm on, if Buddy's on, I think it'll come down. I've never golfed with him.
BP, we both bowed out.
Okay.
We're like, oh yeah, we're not.
I would say Buddy and I would be the one of us would win that one.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. 1v1 basketball. I'm gonna go ahead and say you, and I'm gonna stick with that answer. There's no secondary. The wiffle ball home run derby, I think it's a toss-up.
That's tricky. Yeah.
Because I've played in wiffle ball tournaments
it's tricky.
that you would never expect the person to be crushing the ball that's crushing them. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I might even bow out of the wiffle ball thing. I don't know.
Nah,
That
I
one's
think you
tough.
should stay in.
Okay.
You should stay in.
All
You
right.
have a chance. You have a chance. All right, in the news, couple of quick things, right? The one, I read this article, it says a 102-year-old doctor said the number one thing the healthiest and happiest people I ever know, or I know ever do. Now, that's a big statement from
Yeah.
somebody. It's 102.
Yeah.
They've seen a lot. And their physician, you know, physicians, you tell your physician all the stuff about life, right? If you're consistent with that person.
Yeah.
The number one thing they do is let go of things that drain your energy. Now, you got to be careful with some of these, especially if you're a Christian, only because I think sometimes the things that, and the reason I say that is I think the world would say, hey, don't do anything that drains you. And sometimes the things that are going to create the most amount of fruit in your life are the things that are going to drain you.
Yeah.
But it's just seasonal,
Yeah.
right? It's a chapter. The happiest people know when it's time to move on. I think that's key.
That's good.
Time to move on. But I think, so this is my question. When is letting go? When is it letting go and when is it quitting on something? What's the difference? What's the difference between moving on and quitting? Because there is a difference.
Yeah.
Because moving on is great and it's the right time. Transition, it's transition or fallout, right? Transition or quitting. Transition or I don't want to listen, or transition or I don't want to submit. We've all had these things. Which ones, like when you think about these and you think about the saying, well, let go of things that drain your energy. Well, there's relationships in all of our life that God's probably called us to, or we've had to experience that drain our energy, but they're worth it.
Yeah.
And that's including marriages.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, for
All
sure.
right. So when is letting go and when is quitting on something? That's my question. How do we help people that are listening to know the difference?
Yeah, that's a good. I think in everything your goal is progress. So in every direction, in any point of that, those two different perspectives, your goal is what will stretch me the most and what will cause the most growth in my life. And so, because I think I understand what you're saying. I think with the what drains me thing, maybe it's just worded differently, because I agree with you. There's things that drain you, and that's a good thing because you got to go back to the source to get filled back up again. So as a Christ follower, that's a good thing. Maybe there are things though that drain you, and when you really take a step back and look at them, they drain you from the stance of there's just no progress here. Nothing's moving forward. Nothing's happening.
There's no fruit coming out of it.
There's no fruit. And so maybe those are the things you have to determine, okay, get rid of those things maybe, because there isn't a refilling process. It's just draining. Yeah. And you don't find maybe fulfillment in it, or you don't find a purpose in it, or you don't. I don't know.
Would you say that people people that have things in their life that maybe drain them, instead of getting rid of those things, they just keep adding stuff on? That's why we get overwhelmed, because we have a bunch of things, and instead of getting rid of the things that drain us, we just keep adding more stuff on. Meaning relationships, family that no longer understands your dreams or your vision or whatever it may be. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on a specific thing. I'm just talking 30,000 foot approach here.
Yeah.
Because I think you bring up a good point. Like, we have to go back to the source to fill us up. Jesus is that source. God is that source.
Yeah.
He will do that.
Yeah.
Some of those things are necessary. As a leader, I can tell you this is something that I could very easily say, this is draining, I'm out. Right?
Yeah.
But it's what God's asked me to do it. And I think one way to say too is the things that drain you, but also bring you life.
Yeah.
Which sounds like it's a play on words, but it's really not. It brings you life, but yet you have to have some way to sustain the life to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's because when I hear this, I'm like, man, that could be really dangerous. I'm not saying I disagree with the lady. She's 102. What do I know?
But she made it.
Yeah, she's doing her thing, bro. But what I'm saying is, I think when you think about the godly wisdom, what God's asking of us, I'm like, for all you out there that are listening, and maybe you're driving this morning, maybe you're in the afternoon, maybe you're in the evening, you're sitting at home listening to this podcast, or maybe you're lathering up for your daily shower, which is where most of you apparently are at. When you think about things that drain you, I think about things that go down, let's think of it physically. Things that are going down a drain, you can't stop water going down the drain. You just can't stop it. The drain's there, you can't clog it, right? So I can't stop it. So maybe those are the things that you release, the things that you just can't stop sucking from you, those relationships, those things in your life that you just, no matter what you do, you can't stop that thing, right? No matter how much you maintain it, no matter how much you pour into it. And there are people in relationships that will be that. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
Yeah.
But I also think in life, we hang on to things. I can tell you that in my life, I have always, if anything, quit too early more than I have held on too long. I think that's probably been a lesson I've learned in leadership and in life. It's always easier to move on than it is to hang on.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that when things are just relationships that are bad. I'm meaning in leadership specifically. it's always easier to go out and find something different than to develop what's in front of you. That could be people, that could be ministry in my particular case, that could be a team that I'm coaching. It's always easier to go find something better and to start fresher or newer than to build what you have. But the thing is, when you build, you go deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you add to, you start from there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a million different ways we go about this. You could preach a sermon series for a year on this.
Yeah.
But I think, I think ultimately as Christ followers, you say, well, Lord, what do you have? Like, show me, close the doors. Because some of those relationships, I think the ones that honestly we need to let go are the ones that a lot of times we can't tell are draining us until somebody helps us see it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, this thing's actually not healthy in your life. You're like, well, this is the one I thought was healthy. And you're like, it's not the way this really works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think the one thing for me that's really been concerning is that, like, we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, but suicide's raging.
Mm-hmm.
It's just raging amongst young people. We talked about this specifically on a couple weeks ago, but the reason I say that is yesterday I pulled up this article, this news feed, and the first two of the top articles was the autopsy confirms Kelly Pickler's husband, he died, and that it was suicide. Kyle Jacobs. Another one that was former Suns GM Lance Blanks died by suicide. And you're just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And I think we've got to see people. We got to see where they're at. And so, I don't know. I just hear this and I'm like, how do we help people right now? I know they need Jesus, but some people don't want to hear that even, And I mean, honestly, do I think there are good people who love the Lord that are in these moments? Yes, I do, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's like, man, there's no perfect science to all this, but letting go of the things that drain our energy. Maybe it's concern about what people think of us or what a parent on that team thinks, or maybe it's that we need to be in community. That's one thing about Palms Church and about in general. I always say the church is community. It's the healthiest community you'll ever be in. You can be a part of travel systems, travel ball. You can be part of schools. You can be a part of, different societal things, culture things. But the church is the standard for community and is the healthiest community. And it's a vibrant one that'll pour into you. And that's that is the key to longevity, hands down.
Yeah. In
the church, being a part of a healthy community, and having people help you in those things.
Yeah.
It's not an equation. It's just you got to do it, right?
Mm.
Well, hey, this is something for you with astronomers, because I know you're waiting for this one. Astronomers have detected radio signals from a galaxy that have been traveling. Now, this is fascinating. For 8.8 billion years.
Yeah.
It's the most distant galaxy ever recorded in this wavelength.
That's cool.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
8.8 billion. A radio signal that's been traveling for over almost 9 billion years. Are you serious?
That's
like
really
that,
cool.
my mind won't even go there. What happened 9 billion years ago? You know what I'm saying? Like, how old were those dinosaurs? 9 billion years?
I'm trying to look up what the speed of radio waves are.
That's
to know.
8.8 billion years. That's a long walk, man. Those radio waves have been working it. Those jokers have been working.
So they travel at the speed of light, which is cool.
What?
Yeah.
So the speed of light for 8.8 billion years. They've been sprinting for billions of years.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I am impressed, man.
Yeah.
Radio signals represent, baby. Let's go. At the speed of light for 8 billion years. That's a whole nother level right there.
See, now I'm on Google searching. I got to stop. Otherwise, I'll just read all day. So.
I'm saying, man, it keeps coming back to this here, right?
Yeah.
But that's amazing. You think about 8.8 billion years, a radio signal traveling at the speed of light. That is such a long time. How long has this place been here? How long have these galaxies been here, bro? Well, listen.
Crazy.
All right, so movies and culture, there was something I want to bring up that has fascinated me. It's dumbfounded me. Blown me away.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the number one grossing movie this year was? Just take a guess. I mean, you're a movie buff.
Number one grossing movie?
This year.
Well, it wasn't the new Avatar, I don't think. Even though those ones do really well. Was it some Marvel movie?
You tell me.
I don't know. It's probably a Marvel movie, if I had to guess. No?
No.
No? Okay.
The Avengers Endgame. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, you said this year, right?
Oh, yeah, this year.
This year.
So let me give you context. Avatar this year brought in $283 million. So that was a good. It's number 2.
Yeah.
The number one grossing movie at $519 million.
Wait, is this Super Mario?
Yes.
Let's
Can you
go.
believe that? Can you believe that?
I actually can. It's a good movie.
What I can't believe is that Puss in Boots is number 6 at 129.
Yeah.
That's amazing to
Hey,
me.
did
Guardians
you
of the Galaxy just came out, but it's 127 million.
Did you see Puss in Boots?
No, I mean, that's funny,
A very good movie.
but I haven't seen it.
It's a very good movie.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just couldn't believe it. The next one is half of it, almost 283 million.
Yeah.
And Avatar. I mean, this thing, or no, total gross. Let me see. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, I mean, it came out in December. This thing came out in April, so this is projected to do way beyond. Avatar, It says 684. Super Mario is 519. It's the greatest one this year. Avatar came out in December.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Super Mario is going to exceed that probably.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just amazed. So I watched a movie on Netflix. It was called "I Want to Dance with Somebody." It was a Whitney Houston story.
Want to dance with
Somebody.
Want to feel the heat. Yeah.
Hey. Anyway,
Moving on. Yeah.
bro, this movie, it was honestly, as a movie, it was just okay, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't really like the whole movie, and this isn't gonna be a spoiler alert, maybe a little bit, but the whole movie built up to like the end where she died in a bathtub the night of the Grammys, or the Grammys. It was really sad, and the whole movie built up to the kind of that point, and then it was kind of a very quick ending. So you didn't really. The movie was all about prior to that. It wasn't really about like. I mean, you're thinking, well, it's about her life. Of course it was, but you just didn't really. You felt like it was all built up to that, and it was kind of like a quick end.
Yeah.
The thing about this movie that just floored me was the amount. Like I didn't know she struggled like she did when she started doing her thing. And I don't know how close to actual life the movie was. I'm guessing it was pretty accurate, or they wouldn't have put it out there like that. But like her father on his deathbed, they had this kind of tussle, and then he passed away, and just the stuff that she went through. Man, you just see just pain.
Yeah.
I'm heartbroken for her, honestly, because I mean, she in her late 40s, and she passes away in a bathtub with these drugs in her system, and you're thinking, man, what an incredible one with an incredible talent, and you just hate that life is hard, man.
Yeah,
and you hate to see when people that God's given them such amazing gifts in their life and just amazing things that like it's really hard to go through life with a lot of pain, and clearly she was going through life with a lot of pain. And so, there's just nobody who could do it like she did it, man. She could sing, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like she could sing. I remember as a kid when she came on the scene, and I was always mesmerized by her. Like she's just amazing. I mean, The Bodyguard is one of the classics for me. Kevin Costner and her in that movie, it was like such a good chemistry. And like there was such a good. That movie was really what turned me on to even her music even more when I was a kid, because I was just amazed. I mean, she had music coming out of that movie basically that was made for that movie that really got big. Actually, Kevin Costner's the one who I Will Always Love You. I guess it was originally Dolly Parton. Maybe it wasn't. I think it was Dolly Parton who sang it or something. And Kevin Costner said, "Hey, do this song." And that was like the big song she ended up doing in the movie, and it was one of her biggest hits. So anyway, yeah, it was just man, my heart went out for her. Like I just people are in real pain, man. They're real life, and what an incredible talent, what an incredible gifted human she was. So, hey, I have a final thought.
Here's my final thought.
Final thought. This is on leadership in life. So a pastor that I know, Herbert Cooper, made it. He was on Instagram, and he said, "How am I making the other person feel?" And he said, that's the greatest thing you could ever ask in leadership. How am I making the other person feel? Really, he's talking about empathy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of leaders, it's easy to look past empathy. A lot of followers, it's easier to look past empathy because empathy, it goes beyond what you feel, right? Empathy goes both ways. We want people to understand us, but empathy... And that's really what empathy, so it goes two ways. One is like, why don't people understand me, right?
Yeah.
The other one is, well, we want people to understand us, but we have to try to understand them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when empathy isn't in a conversation, you have two people, and one says, you don't understand me, and the other one says, well, you're this way. Well, whereas if there's empathy, there's a legitimate, like, okay, I can't understand where you're coming from because I'm not you and I'm not in your perspective, but I can actually sympathize and have grace for where you're at.
Yeah.
That takes a ton of spiritual maturity. It takes a ton of physical maturity. It takes a ton of emotional maturity. Physical maturity is in like the way you process, and you know what I mean. I was just mesmerized with this. I was like, wow, that's probably the number one thing I know I'm learning in this season of my life is empathy.
Yeah.
I'm a go-getter. I'm 100 miles an hour, and you can easily run over and steamroll a lot of things in your life, not even knowing it. And your heart doesn't turn sour. You're just not thinking. It's not that you don't think about people. You're not realizing that the way you're presenting things is in the way they're being taken.
Yeah.
And actually, that me realizing that about myself has helped me so much in dealing with other people, because I realized they're not coming at you. They're not meaning it like this. Try to actually see it from their perspective. What they said is not actually what they meant. And I don't try to interpret it for them.
Yeah.
But what they meant is the way I interpret it, not what they said. So if I say something to you, what you take it as could not be what I mean. You're like, well, you said this, so how can I take it different? Because you're taking it through your lens.
Yeah.
So empathy says, I'm not going to take offense. I'm going to try to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helped me out a lot, because what it does is it makes you less offensive and defensive about everything. And you don't go on the offense trying to attack. You're like, okay, well, let me understand, because I trust their heart. And you're like, well, I don't trust them anyway. Well, that could be a deeper issue. But if you're like, help me understand where they're actually coming from. Let me see. I just thought that was such a great point.
Yeah.
And I read a thing. It said, what if the spider you killed in your home spent his entire life thinking you were his roommate? Said, you ever think about that? No, you only think about yourself. But as funny as it is,
Yeah.
what an incredible concept.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good.
I don't like it. I don't like empathy, because like everybody else, you want to just think about what you need to be said, how it needs to be said, and then you move on with life.
Yeah.
But when you really think of it, you realize and you start to look back that if you take it in a person's context, it's completely different. If you give a millionaire $100, or if you give somebody who doesn't have that kind of money, let's say they're barely making ends meet, and you give them $100,
yeah,
they're going to interpret that gift. A millionaire may look at you and think that you don't appreciate them. Somebody who doesn't have much will think you just gave them the greatest gift ever. It's the same gift.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's just a lens. Are either one wrong? You say, well, the millionaire, because he's just ungrateful. Well, if you're a millionaire, you might not think that. But I'm not a millionaire. So for me, I'm like, well, the millionaire.
Yeah.
So I've been on the other side of it. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. It's context.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Their lunch may cost them $1,500. Hit a nice, you know what I mean? Well, when I worked at a 5-star restaurant, man, people come in and drop $3-4 grand or $20 grand when they had once their wine bill was done. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all context. And I think if we have empathy and really try to see where people are coming from and believe the best in people, even if they're not meaning it to be the best, it's the best for us. And so that's a leadership principle, but it's a life principle. If you practice empathy in your life and you really try to see where people are coming from, where your spouse is coming from, my kids will get home off the bus and they'll come in and they're ravaging the pantry for snacks and they're 100 miles an hour and they're this or that. And I realize, you know what? These kids are in school all day. They've been cooped up in classrooms.
Yeah.
They love it. They love it, even if they say they love being with their friends. But it changes the way you see your kids coming out. Like, y'all need to be in order. You need to be this. It's like, bro, they're home free.
Yeah.
Versus, you see, it just little things. It just changes the game on how we see things.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Yeah.
It's the one word I really never cared about, but as I'm learning about it, it's changing the way I see everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because empathy is not weakness. It's strength is understanding people. Strength isn't rolling over them.
Yeah.
And I think that what I've learned with empathy is it doesn't make you weaker. It makes you sincere.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't change where you're headed. It just changes what you're doing, what you do to get there, meaning how you see people. You know, it doesn't mean you're always going to agree with people, but you can still see them.
Yeah.
And being seen is more important than being understood, in my opinion, because understood sometimes it's just going to take a lot of work. Being seen means I see you. I just can't really understand where you're coming from. I got to work on that.
And I do think it's, just one thing to add because of what you just said. It's, we may not agree on every single thing, but we have empathy for one another. I mean, what a beautiful thing that our world needs right now. Honestly,
exactly.
Like you look around our world, we just don't have empathy for one another. We're trying to strong arm our opinions and thoughts about this topic and another topic. And we have lost, I think, the ability to agree to disagree and still move forward somehow. And so, I think it's a beautiful thing. Like if we could recapture that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just and I think for each person, you just got to make that decision. Like, I'm going to be empathetic.
Yeah.
You know, I used to get so offended at certain people. And honestly, I realized a lot of them were just like me.
Mm.
So they're not going to push me around. They're not trying to push you around, bro. They're doing the same thing you're doing. They're aggressive. They're passionate.
Yeah.
And like you start to learn. I heard T.D. Jakes say it once. He said, when you can learn, and this isn't the same thing, but he said, when you can learn to lead people who have their own interest in mind and it's for their benefit is when you become a higher level leader. Like those types of people where you're like, I've never want them around me. He was saying when you can get the most out of those people and help them is when you become that even higher level. And I've learned that, and I'm seeing that's the truth, because it doesn't always mean they're awful people. Sometimes they are in it for themselves, but he's saying even great leaders can lead those people.
Yeah.
And that's been, but I'm not saying that's empathy, but when you have empathy, you don't see those people as a threat.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that.
So anyway, hey, I want to pray over you, but before we do, I hate to end a podcast on a heavy note because I want you to be joyful, but I also think we have to speak to reality. And I know just today I got a phone call before I came on the podcast. There was as a coach, you know, like I said, right now, I think my family alone, we got 10 games and 5 practices every week. It's 100 miles an hour, but a travel ball team, I guess, out of the Charlottesville area this weekend, coach that had coached for a long time was hitting infield, and he hit a ball and hit the pitcher in the head. And it actually, the pitcher's apparently on life support. It's a kid. And I just want to pray over that kid. I want to pray over that coach. I want to pray over those families. This is near and dear to my heart. And so I don't have names, but I'm just going to ask everybody as you're listening to this, man, let's just pray for this coach, pray for this kid, pray for these families. Lord, we just come to you. Father, I just pray for this young man. Father, wherever he's at, whatever hospital he's at, I just pray that you would touch him. God, you are the healer. And Lord, we know this is a tragedy. This is a deeply felt, overwhelming tragedy. And Father, I just pray that you would touch this young man. God, heal him. We know you're the healer. God, for this coach, I pray that he would sense your peace. God, he wouldn't sense a feeling of shame and guilt, but God, he would sense your love and knowing that God, sin is real, evil is real, pain is real, death is real. And God, these aren't byproducts of us just being bad people. It's a byproduct of sin in the world, not any one person, but all of us collectively. God, for the families, I just pray for every family on that team, every kid. Pray for the parents of this young man. Lord, we're believing for a miracle that only you could do. We're believing because you are the healer. But God, not our will, and we know it's not your will for death ever. That's never been your will. But we just pray that you would do what only you can in this situation. God, bring a peace and bring healing. We love you. We believe in you. And we know that you can do anything and more. We bind together and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, we love you all so very much. All of you parents that I coach your kids, it is my greatest honor to be a part of your kids' life in this formational time. Palms Church, we love you. All of you podcast listeners, so grateful to have this time of community together. We love you. We'll see you all soon.